Hello, everybody, and welcome back to False Nine Footy. So, according to Fabrizio Romano, Liverpool have signed Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt for around 95 million euros. The first thing we've got to talk about with regard to this move is definitely the price. 95 million euros is a lot. Hugo Ekitike, he's 23 years old. Last year in the Bundesliga, in 33 matches, he scored 15 goals and tallied 8 assists. And in the Europa League, in 12 matches, he scored 4 goals and got 3 assists. So that production is honestly, it's very good. However, 95 million euros for me is any price, any player that you spend that much money on has to be, for me, already a finished product, already elite. And is Ekitike elite right now? He's approaching elite status. I wouldn't say he's there yet, but he has the potential to be elite. So yeah, 95 million euros. Again, that price to me is it's an overpay by Liverpool. But players. I mean, look, Rasmus Højlund went for 72 million pounds last season. So, it could be worse because for me, Ekitike, he's one of those strikers that I think has great potential in the game right now because there are a lot of strikers out there, and some have great potential and some don't, and some teams believe certain players have this high potential when they don't, right? And it's all about scouting. So for me, Ekitike is a player that I see that does have, really great potential. So would I have paid 95 million euros for him? No. Because there are other players that I also think are very good and that have great potential. Like there's Samu Omorodion from Porto. Last season in the Portuguese league, in 30 matches, he scored 19 goals, 3 assists. In the Europa League, 6 goals in 9 matches, and he's 21 years of age. He almost went to Chelsea last season, Samu. He's going to be really, really good. So, according to Transfer Market, Samu's only worth 50 million euros. Now, even if that means paying 10 extra, right, 10 million extra, that's still 60 million euros. Even if you pay 70 million euros, that's only, that's still less than Ekitike. So perhaps I would have pursued a player like Samu or even Moise Kean. Moise Kean's 25. Last year in Serie A for Fiorentina, scored 19 goals in 32 matches and had 3 assists as well. And Moise Kean, for me, he's finally arrived. He's finally taken that next step. Which for so long he's had that potential, but it's just never. He's just never produced, at a high level. And last season he finally broke out, and so you could have pursued a Moise Kean. But again, Ekitike. For me, if you want to know about Ekitike, he's a very good dribbler. Technically very good. He's a good finisher and a good playmaker as well for at the striker position. So I think he fits in perfectly with what Liverpool want to do. Like they wanted to go after Alexander Isak as well, and that kind of fell through. So I think Ekitike, even though they paid 95 million euros, I think it's not going to be like Rasmus Højlund where he's not going to produce, right? Ekitike is a good enough player to where 95 million is an overpay, but he's not going to be a player that doesn't produce. He's going to produce. He's going to do very well at Liverpool, because again, he's a player that I rate very highly. Again, 95 million, that's a lot, but he's gonna do well at Liverpool. He's gonna fit well in that, attacking. He's going to do well in the striker position, basically, alongside Salah, the likes of Salah, Gakpo, Florian Wirtz, hovering around there as, attacking midfielder. So he's going to fit in that side very well. But yeah, this really means Darwin Nunez has, lost his spot. He's probably gonna be sold soon. And if you look at Darwin Nunez, it hasn't ever really worked out since he moved to Liverpool. Last in the 23-24 season, he had 11 goals, 8 assists, and 36 matches in the league, in the Premier League. This past season, the 24-25 season, 5 goals, 2 assists, and 30 matches. So he's just never taken that next step into, becoming an elite striker and becoming a player that they thought would kind of compete with Haaland, in terms of production and in terms of performance. Yeah, so Darwin Nunez, Liverpool are probably, going to look to sell him soon. So yeah, Hugo Ekitike to Liverpool for 95 million euros. I think it's a good move in terms of Liverpool acquiring Ekitike. The price is an overpay. I don't like the price point at all. For me, a player like Ekitike is worth like 50 million euros. You could say 60 million too, but anything above that, to me, again, he had a great season last season at Eintracht Frankfurt, but that really was his breakout season. Before that, he hasn't really put up, these kind of numbers. So, for one season of great production, to cost you 95 million euros, for me, that's a bit ludicrous. But I do think Ekitike is a very good player, and I think he will do well at Liverpool. So if you just don't look at the price, I think it's a good move. So yeah.